Hello and welcome to the UN General Assembly.
Welcome to Al Jazeera.
7 billion people.
193 nations.
$26 billion needed to solve the suffering. That's our world.
70 years after the UN was created, the next Secretary General needs to confront crisis out there,
while leading reform in here. Tonight, in the first ever live televised debate, we'll hear from diplomats and the global community affected by their decisions.
And we'll hear from the men and women who believe they're ready to take over from Ban Ki-moon.
12 candidates are vying for the post of UN Secretary General. 10 of them are with us here today on Al Jazeera.
And we're joined first by a panel of 5 of them. Let me introduce them to you. We start with Vesna Pusic.
António Guterres.
Susana Malkura.
Jeremic.
And Natalia Gherman.
Thank you all for taking part in this historic event. We're broadcasting live from the UN General Assembly, a packed UN General Assembly hall.
And we're live on Al Jazeera channels and platforms around the world. I'm James Bays.
And I'm Folie Batibo. Bienvenue au débat des candidats au poste de secrétaire général des Nations Unies.
Welcome to the UN debate. Well, let's get things started, and the way we're going to start this is hearing from each of the candidates about themselves and why they want to be the Secretary General of the United Nations. Candidates, you're going to get 90 seconds for this answer to make your pitch to set out your stall. Let's start with Vesna Pusic, Croatia's Deputy Speaker of Parliament. She's also the former Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you very much, and thank you, General Assembly. Thank you, President of the General Assembly, for giving us this opportunity. It's really a first, as you know. And why do I want to do this difficult, complicated job in difficult, complicated times? I've done many things in my life. I've taught, I've been a teacher, I've been a civil society activist, I've been a parliamentarian, I've been a minister. But throughout my life, the topic of peace, development, and human rights have been absolutely center stage for me. And whatever I did, I focused on these topics, from looking at my neighborhood to looking at the world. So in that sense, it comes very natural to me to think of the organization that actually has made these 3 topics the center of its activity and interest. But the other thing that motivated me is a deep resentment or antipathy towards cynicism. And there has been a lot, and there is a lot of cynicism in current international relations, national politics, international politics, a lot of sort of playing to the gallery without being prepared to look at the issues. And I want to actually counter that cynicism. This is what I will try.
Thank you very much. Next, António Guterres, High Commissioner for Refugees from 2005 until last year, 2015. He was also Portugal's Prime Minister.
Well, I'm a candidate because this is the place where I believe I can better help to reduce human suffering and offer better opportunities for people. We live in a dangerous world. We see a multiplication of new conflicts. Old conflicts never die, and conflicts are becoming more and more interrelated and interconnected with the global threat of terrorism. At the same time, Climate change and population growth are combining to make the world smaller and resources scarcer. And we see people, common people, more and more divorced in relation to national political establishments, but also international organizations. See, for instance, the EU and even the UN in certain aspects. So I believe that we badly need at this moment two things: leadership and values. Now, in a complex world, we need a multiplicity of leaders able to fully assume their responsibilities. The Secretary General is just one of them. But she or he must be a solid ethical reference and must be the symbol of those truly universal values that are enshrined in the UN Charter and that all religions respect in the world. The values that our societies, that are all becoming multi-ethnic, multi-religious and multicultural, need in order to foster inclusion, cohesion, to make people feel they belong, to value diversity and to confront and defeat political populism, xenophobia, racism and violent extremism. And I believe those values are the values I've served in all my life.
Thank you. Susana Malkura is Argentina's Minister of Foreign Affairs. She was also chef de cabinet for Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon. That, for those that don't know, is effectively the Chief of Staff.
Thank you and good evening to everybody. You know, I came to the United Nations 12 years ago without fully grasping what the United Nations means to the world. And I realized then that in today's complex landscape, the needs and demands of communities and peoples go far beyond their frontiers. So that means that the world demands today a United Nations that is closer to the people, much closer, that puts people and planet up front, and that is driven by the reality of issues and the need to deliver results, a results-driven organization. In my view, to rise to meet the world's expectations, this United Nations requires a Secretary General with the courage to lead, the humility to listen, and the readiness to partner. And I think I am that person. Having been so close to the decision making, I think I fully understand what is needed to take the United Nations to the next level. In the private sector for 25 years, I learned the pressures of delivering results for the shareholders. Let me tell you, nothing is equivalent to the pressure that you feel in this organization when you know that you are saving lives. I am here for that United Nations that we all need and we all want, and I hope to get your trust.
Thank you. Jeremic served as the president of the 67th session of the United Nations General Assembly. He was also the foreign minister of Serbia.
Well, thank you very much, this is a great privilege. First and foremost, thank you, Mr. President, for according us this privilege. Ladies and gentlemen, we do live in an era of profound transformation that is unprecedented in scale and scope. And most of the challenges that are facing humanity in the 21st century are essentially global in nature. There's only one organization that we are going to have in our lifetime where we can hope to come together and address them decisively, and this is the United Nations. Now, not all is well at the United Nations, I'm afraid. There's a growing perception that some historic achievements made by this organization are becoming more and more overshadowed by the sense of stagnation and failure. Now, we've got to do something about it, and we've got to do it fast. I believe this is not a time for high rhetoric. I believe this is time for decisive action. And to that end, I decided to put forward a detailed public policy platform, which I made publicly available for those of you who do not know. It contains 53 concrete commitments that I am prepared to carry out from day one in the fields of sustainable development, climate change, conflict prevention and peace operations, human rights and humanitarian relief, and the organization reform itself. I believe we need to change. I believe we need to have a clear plan on how to do it. I believe I have a plan on how to do it, and that's why I'm here.
Thank you very much indeed. Natalia Gherman is the former Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Moldova. She was also Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Good afternoon, everybody. Pleasure and honor to be here. And I am a candidate for the position of the Secretary General of the United Nations because I do believe in the commitment of humanity for collective action, for the better life of everybody. And I'm absolutely convinced that the United Nations is the preeminent international organization which we can use to deliver on this commitment. And I also trust the power of dialogue and the power of persuasion. As Foreign Minister of the Republic of Moldova, I had only diplomacy and dialogue to help establish a place for my country in the system of international affairs. And I also bring the first-hand experience of identifying the common ground, even amidst geopolitical tensions, where others might see only differences that serve nobody. And even if I am aware that very often a Secretary General should manage disunity, I think we should all strive for finding common ground and finding unity. And we need this unity whether we are to stop wars and conflicts, tackle the scourge of international terrorism, work on international development, or ensure the highest standards of dignity. This experience I am bringing to the service of the organization and to the service of humanity.
Thank you.